I got to graduate school and someone sort of tipped me off and was like, you should look at social purity reformers. I was like, who? That's the most like ridiculous, boring sounding name I've ever heard. But I'm
Hmm.
going to look at them. And as I looked, I came across these people, and in particular women, like early female physicians, who devoted their lives to sort of traveling around the world and actually critiquing imperial governments for how they um, basically created government-run brothels for their troops stationed around the world, and really particularly the British Empire at this point was the main target of their
Yeah,
criticism.
so explain that. This is kind of another thing. Even I was very vague on this, but most Americans aren't aware of this because we have not done this as a country. The British and the French too, I guess. All the Europe, did all the
Spanish,
European.
everyone's doing it. Yeah.
So tell us, what was that system? How did they do sex work?
So the system sort of starts, the system as we know it starts in France in the early 19th century. And it's the first time prostitution really gets thought of as a kind of issue of public health and disease control. And so as this system of regulated prostitution gets developed, it varies a little bit, but the sort of basic structures are the government either licenses individual women or brothels, or creates red light districts, right?
Mm.
Areas where women are
Hmm.
allowed to work. And then they register them. There are usually some fees, some taxes, right? The government is getting a cut of this for sure. And then women are required to submit to regular gynecological examinations for venereal disease. And the idea is they'll see if a woman is diseased and then they'll put her in a prison hospital and treat her so that she won't spread the disease to her clients. And then once she's healthy, she can go back to working again. She gets sort of cleared.
Hmm. Hmm.
That said, uh, officials in basically everywhere could just see a woman on the street, decide she's a prostitute, and put her on the registry. And these medical inspections, right, that feels very euphemistic. These are vaginal inspections with a speculum.
Right.
Uh, Many people called them at the time medical rape. They often spread disease, right? They're taking like a one speculum from woman to woman to woman to woman. Um, so it's a very coercive system.
It's state rape.
It's state rape. Yeah, I mean, absolutely. And so it's very hard to get off this registry. And so and this becomes sort of imperial policy. This is basically what all imperial powers are doing,
To
and
service
European cities as well.
to so-called service the troops, right?
Yes, and that's very important. There's a clear idea of male sexuality that men, especially sort of soldiers in foreign places,
Hmm.
and there's this sort of, tempted by exotic women who are both beautiful and hideous, uh,
Mm.
need some sort of safe sexual
Hmm.
release
Yeah.
that is not masturbation and not homosexuality. Those are not often stated, but there's always a kind of undercurrent of fear of those. So they
Hmm.
need for their health safe sexual release, and prostitutes provide that. Um, and that's the idea. I mean, the earliest French doctors who sort of articulate this regulation system describe it as a sort of these women are this sewer that directs the like excess energy and like effluvia away from
Mm.
from the respectable women and families, right? It takes
Mm.
all that energy and puts it somewhere else. So they serve this very important social function.
Right. So it's not quite an endorsement, but it's absolutely an acceptance. What's a better word for this? By the state, by national states, right? These are nation states
Yes.
endorsing
Yes.
prostitution
Yes.
and husbanding it, so to speak, right? By regulating it, right? They're the ones distributing it.
Yes.
The state is distributing sex work
Yes.
to service the troops for their imperial projects.
Yes. And they'll say, "Oh, it's wish we didn't have to do this. It's unfortunate."
Right.
Um, but the idea of, right, like you have to maintain that troop strength. And it's true that syphilis is like and putting a lot of people in
Yeah.
hospitals. So
Yeah,
there
yeah.
is a concern about troop strength. It's just that, right, the way they conceptualize how disease spreads is like prostitutes are the only disease vector, and that's who we have to control. We couldn't possibly
Right.
control men.
So Napoleon is the first to do this, is that right?
Yeah, like the first like kind of first
So
imperial.